Okay, it is 6 p.m. I call this meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I'm just gonna do a quick roll call. Trustee Lancaster. Here. Trustee Brandmeyer. Here. Trustee Happy. Hi. Trustee Deal. Here. Trustee Baldwin here. Okay, if you're all here. With that said, I am going to ask the board before we get going here to make a motion to suspend the village board rules so that we can openly discuss things without Robert's rules. So I'll second it. So we got a motion by Trustee Deal and a second by Trustee Brandmeyer. All in favor of that? Then the board rules are now suspended. I'm going to turn it over to the village manager who would like to say some words before we get going.
Thank you, Chair. So how this is gonna happen tonight is there's a microphone at the front that if somebody cares to come and speak, we would ask you to come forward. We're not gonna restrict the time, but we will, a couple close notes, I guess we would say is that we're not here to really address individual questions. We all know that assessments are a hot topic right now. If you have concerns with those, you can share your name and number with us and we'll be happy to get in touch with accurate appraisals related to that, but more on the larger scale, let's say 30,000 foot level kind of things that would move the village forward. Those are the types of topics that we're hoping that we can have a discussion about. I'm not sure that the board is going to be prepared to answer all the questions or the staff is, but we will definitely take notes and follow up as we go through or get back to individual people, however this happens. This is our first time at this, so we'll see where this leads us, but we thank those for that for coming out tonight, and we want to hear some good dialogue on how we can make Harrison better, so thank you.
And then I will add just a note for the board. I'm encouraging that we push our buttons if you want to talk to the constituency if you have questions, but I'm encouraging the board to take this opportunity. We're just here to listen and ask questions to help maybe get some more questions. So with that said, I guess I'm going to open it up to the audience to come up to the mic and speak to the board. Any volunteers? Why don't you come first?
All right, you're gonna have to turn the public mic on
I do.
here.
Still, let's push the hand.
I think it's right.
Hello.
Is it in the queue? Does it say public?
You might right, you might have these six right now.
Yeah.
There should be a little man icon or
It might be.
It's lit blue.
Six. It's
It's lit blue.
try seat six. Try turning on seat six.
Oh.
How's that?
Can you turn your back?
It's on now.
It's on now.
I figured.
Okay.
Sound very good. I'm just wondering where we sit, because I've been chasing this topic for 18 years. I've lived on the corner for 21. And it's just getting worse and worse. Now that I'm retired, I observe everything. It's the Sugar Maple Way, Woodland Coop Road intersection. And whenever I have hope of a resolution, it somehow gets turned down. So I just want to know if I'm chasing flies or if there's no hope yet that something will be done. But I'm seeing every day there's a 200-foot section of road that is extremely dangerous, in my opinion. And when I mean my opinion, I have one voice, but I'm speaking for the entire neighborhood. And some of my neighbors are hesitant to move it because they saw what's going on when they were it. Others want a four-way stop. One has a 2-year-old who's learning how to run. And when he runs, the 50-mile-an-hour traffic is within feet of their lot. I see grandmothers pushing strollers. I see golf carts, numerous, more than one, 3 that I know of. One in particular, they're picking up kids at the Note Cavalry School and giving them a ride home, up down Woodland, Sugar Maple, and dropping them off at the homes. I just think, it's a nice gesture in the right neighborhood. But people are pulling out onto Woodland, and ducks are locking up their brakes because they're going 15 miles an hour, 20, 30, and you're probably going 45, 50. Some companies slow down through that intersection. And I appreciate that, but it's not everybody. One day I saw a lady pushing a stroller with 2 dogs, and she took the ditch because the dump trucks were coming at each other and she had nowhere to go. And with the speed limit sign being so close to that intersection, when the village does cut the weeds, which are 6 feet tall, I have pictures if you want to see them. The other day I had held 3 kids across on the bicycles. And I have a photo of that situation. I was on my lawnmower and I hopped off to help them. I asked for a lowering of speed limit. I'm told that can't be done. I don't know if that's true or not. What I read on the state statute is a village can lower the speed limits at any time for the safety of the residents. So I don't know where we stand on that. Even if it's a reduction just through that area would be a big benefit. But anyway, the village comes through, they cut the ditch, they get the speed limit sign, they can't get between the speed limit sign and the road and Sugar Maple. The equipment is too big to get in there. And in my opinion, the speed limit sign is in the wrong position. It should be further to the west. Then the equipment could cut all the way to the corner, and the people entering Woodland Road from Sugar Maple going west would know what the speed limit is. Right now, they don't see a speed limit sign till they're almost the Lake Park Road.
And that's on Woodland,
It's on Woodland,
eastbound.
westbound. It's about 15 feet from Sugar Maple Way, so the ditch cutter can go up to the sign, and then he goes across Sugar Maple, and he can never get in that ditch. I used to cut it. Now I'm hiring out kids. I just paid them $150 to cut my ditch.
Wow, that's something that you're on.
KB Lawn Care. 2 nice kids, Greg Van Zeeland's grandson and his neighbor. But I used to cut it myself, but now I'm 68. I don't know, my body doesn't want to work that well. But anyway, I'm proposing and we do something there because the kids come up to the stop sign. They cannot see down Woodland because the grass is 6 foot tall. The oncoming cars can't see the kids because the grass is 6 foot tall. And if I don't cut it, it's a huge situation. Something's going to happen someday.
When's the last time that DPW was cutting it?
Well, he cut about 3-4 weeks ago. I can tell.
Once a month they're cutting it?
No. Twice a year,
Twice a year.
twice a year. And they only cut the roadside. They don't cut the homeowner side. That might be accurate, I don't know. Should they be cutting the homeowner side too? I have no idea.
So
But
this
anyway,
is, this is the top of it. I'm trying my hardest, one of my priorities to get something figured out, and I asked Chad to look into
So
it.
I think, sir, we had, maybe had a conversation, so,
we did, and I didn't know where we stood, that's why I'm here.
okay, so where we stand, we had talked about extending a culvert right to the east of Sugar Maple and filling that all in.
Right,
And Jeff believes that that's possible and it's on his list to do this fall.
oh,
He just has to verify with McMahon that there's grade in the ditch to put a culvert in there and it's not gonna cause backups downstream and we have McMahon on their survey list when they're caught up to get over there and take some shots for us. And he's got culverts that were taken out from a different street project that he plans to put in there. And he's got asphalt fillings and he's gonna create an area so that the pedestrians can walk up to Coop and then cross at the intersection.
to me, that's just the perfect solution. The cost is minimal. And that's one reason I was here, because I was gonna get Greg Van Zien's permission, because this culvert will go about 20 feet onto his property,
Well, that's all right away there.
you know. And it was a cost, I was gonna see if I needed to hold a fundraiser to pay for it, but I needed.
No, it's on his radar, it can be done, and he's got it on his list, and he's hoping to get to it this fall, and if it's a light winter, it might be early into the winter, but he's gonna get it ready for spring.
Oh, that's just a blessing.
But I can have him look at the speed limit sign and see if that makes sense, so that that ditch can be cut properly.
Oh, yeah, well, well, I'll say that partly.
Chad, can we, what about a lighted crosswalk there? Which one? They got the stop sign for like on 10?
Problem is there's no, the roads don't line up. Oh, and so they come off of Sugar Maple, they have to walk down Woodland and then they go to Cool. Because trustee Hanschke asked if there could be a crosswalk put there, and I think that's gonna cause more concern because we're gonna send everybody across Woodland and they're having nowhere to walk because there's no trail or anything on the south side of the road. So this is we believe a good interim solution until Woodland gets urbanized, to have this pathway that the pedestrians come off of Sugar Maple, they're walking into the traffic the way you should going east, and then they can cross at Coop, where they're not having to jog and get on the other side of the road. So I think this
Yeah.
will help substantially.
Because
It's a great idea.
right, because they can walk against traffic on Woodland and then walk against traffic once they cross on South Cool.
So when are summer hours done for DPW where they can, this is like a big safety thing. So this is pretty high priority as far as I'm concerned.
I understand that. And so it's on his list and we're dealing with we've got four park projects going on. We've got a number of new developments, Crossroads finishing up Commerce Park, and they're trying to get ready for the expansion here. And once they're done here, then we'll make sure that they get it done.
So when do summer hours can stop?
Summer hours don't stop until the end of October.
Really? We get all this work? Okay.
Well, thanks for listening to me, and I hope there's a resolution that fits everybody. Sounds that way.
Brian, do you have something to ask?
Just to follow up on one of his concerns, the speed, what's the process to lower speed there or any other problem area in Harrison?
So we've brought this up on multiple occasions, and I'll let Chad kind of dive into the rules and what we found out with trying to lower the speed limit on Woodland. So I'll let Chad take it away.
So state statute does have information as to the way roads can be changed, speed limits can be changed. It's a very cumbersome process. You have to look at crash data, you have to look at speed data, and it's really it's very difficult, frankly, to change speed limits. And I'm guessing that's made that way so that municipalities aren't just willy-nilly changing speed limits because of a couple complaints. So we did a traffic study with McMahon on Woodland and on Manitowoc to see if we could change it and, you know, I would have to go back and get the information. It was presented to a board meeting, but you have to be within the 85th percentile, and we weren't anywhere near that with the speed data, and the crash data was not even near what the DOT requires. It's a very strict process to get that done. And, and we had hoped for, we had the means to do it, and we had hoped for better results because our goal was committed to changing the speed limits. But we worked with our engineer McMahon, who's the experts in this, and tried to work through it. But it's very difficult, let's just say, to change the speed limit.
Thank you.
Reported crash, if I may.
Yes. Yeah, intermissive don't work. I see plenty. Oh,
Trustee Lancaster.
Thank you. So Jen, thanks for coming tonight. I know this has been near and dear to you for a while. I know this has been an issue for a very long time. Question I would have for the village manager, knowing there's a lot of projects on the plate. Is there any overtime we could offer the public works crew and see if they're willing to work some overtime and get this taken care of before someone does get hurt?
yeah, well, before we go down there, since it was brought up tonight, let me have a discussion with Jeff and see if we can get it on the ticket to try to get it done in August before the school season.
Right, okay, that's what I'm thinking, exactly. Right, thank you. We'll take them.
Okay. Does that answer your question?
For the most part, I mean, I'm tickled.
Well, what I'll ask is, just follow up. Just get a product plan so he has some dates so he doesn't feel like, nothing's getting done, so.
But again, if I could just stress, it's me at the meetings, it's me calling and, but I'm retired, everybody, all my neighbors are still working. Ken, you have time, why don't you look at it? So I'm just one voice for many people.
Can you just give your phone number in?
Yeah, 920-843-1309.
Okay, I will be in touch.
Okay, next opportunity is available for someone to come up. Oh. How you doing?
Good. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I appreciate it. I've got a bunch of questions. All of them pertaining to the assessment situation, and I'm not real sure that you guys are in the are really able to handle them, but I've been trying to get a hold of Accurate for 2.5 weeks. And it's just not happening. They sent me basically a notice. I live on Fire Lane 3. My name is Dan Lanick. I live on Fire Lane 3, been there for 50 years. And my question is pertaining to the frontage assessment. The residential assessment along property or along the lake is about $4,600 a foot. Waverly Beaches is $2,000. Fox Crossing is $2,700. So I finally got, after 2.5 weeks of notice here from Accurate, that basically said that people don't buy land on the lake for the house necessarily, they buy it for the property. Get that, okay? But commercially, they buy it for the investment or for the, they said here, they buy it because of the profit that they anticipate, the income, not the waterfront frontage. So I know for a fact that Waverly has more than 300 feet of frontage, and that's what's on their assessment. And I know for a fact that they're getting assessed at over or under 2,000. It's a little over 2,000 a foot. Also, they just have a big addition and on there, which you guys are all aware of. They purchased a place for 3.2 million in 22, put 5 million in it, and they're assessed at 3.8 million. So, and that's just one business, and I don't know how many more businesses, Quick Trip, or all these warehouses are putting up all over. I don't feel that the residents should have to subsidize or should have to pay more than the businesses for free tax. Because they're a business. It's just not fair. It's not fair to the people along the lake. It's not fair to the people in the town. I'm sure that there is some resemblance of this to people that own residential lots in the village where they're not getting assessed the same rate as the commercial people, and I don't think it's fair. So I've been trying to get answers from these guys. After 2.5 weeks, I got this emailed statement here 2 days ago, which didn't really answer any question. My main thing was the Waverly's money they got in it. If they don't want to assess them on the property because they don't feel that they don't feel that they should be assessed at the same rate as the residential on their property, or why aren't they assessed on the building? That's a nuts and bolts thing. Property, your building is your building. If you have X amount of dollars in it, you should get assessed at whatever you have in it. No different than our households. If you build a house for $500,000, they're not going to assess you for 250. So why are they different? I have these questions and I can't get them answered. So I'm asking if you guys can get some answers, or do I have to call Patrick? And I haven't called them yet. I've only been emailed because that's the only way I can get a hold of anybody. I shouldn't say I haven't called them. I called them 3 times, left messages 3 times, no calls back. And I got an email response only because somebody had gotten a hold of somebody at Akron and they emailed me back. So these are the things that they're not fair. It's not fair to people along the lake, and there's a lot of them now that know about it and are not happy with it. I don't know, like I said, how many more businesses, it's Quick Trip. Payment.
Quick Trip's not even in the village.
They're not in the village?
No, city of Manassas.
Okay. I don't know the boundaries of everywhere, but I do know that we have gotten the raw end of this deal. And I'd like to see something happen. And if not, I'd like to have some answers, some concrete answers, and I can't get them. So what do I do?
So I know Alyssa's been working with Everett. You've been talking with them.
So we're led to believe from Accurate that they have contacted you. You contacted them 8 times. They contacted you back 7 times.
They did.
July 7th, July 10th, July 14th, July 15th, July 18th, and July 21st. So I think what I would say is if you're absolutely against your assessment, there's an objection form that can be filed and you can go to the Board of Review, and that's the process you should probably consider taking.
I have talked to them about that. And it goes nowhere. They won't allow me to call them. I can't talk to anybody. I've called them. When they called me back, they left messages on my phone. I'm not on my phone 24 hours a day like nowadays kids are. I see it maybe 4 or 5 times a week. I don't carry it with me half the time.
And since they had talked to you on 7/15,
What's that?
did you talk with them on July 15th?
I have never personally talked to them back and forth. It's been email or text. Okay. They texted me about 4 times, 3-4 times, and so can I make an appointment with them and go there and talk to them in the building? Will they allow that? I would be more than happy.
Did you come to the open book?
Yes, I did.
And
And the lady there said, I gave her all of these questions. She says, we will contact you within 2 or 3 days. 2 weeks later, I wasn't hearing anything. So that's when I started to pursue it heavily. And I called them 2-3 times a day. Never got anybody, never got a person on the phone, always an answering machine. And hey, I understand the business.
We're at the point of, he can file an objection form with the village hall and go before the Board of Review and work through that, his assessment. If it's, it seems like that would be the most logical process at this point.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then should every property owner on the lake file
They have that right.
have a file, an amendment or whatever you wanna call it, an assessment?
They have that right to
Change.
object.
Because of the fact that everyone on there is on the same boat,
Okay,
you know what I'm saying?
I understand.
No, okay, let me ask you guys this, let me ask you this. Do you feel that it's fair for somebody that gets billed $4,600 a foot versus somebody gets paid $2,000 a foot for the same identical type of property that's on the water? Just because they're a business versus a resident? Does that mean I should start a business out of my house? Then I get assessed at half of what I'm getting assessed at? And I'm not arguing the building assessment. I'm arguing property assessment. This is
So-
building,
I understand the concerns, and we kind of started off this conversation for the rest of the people in the audience that we
Yeah.
are gonna drill into specific needs. I think there's a means for you to contest your assessment, and I would encourage you to consider filing an objection.
okay, so if I call them, try to get an appointment made and I can't get in there, then I can come back and have you guys take care of it?
Well, you have to file the objection form and come to the board review on August 13th.
Okay, another thing, the village cuts the weeds along the railroad tracks down by Firelane for, well, I've been doing it. By Waverly Beach on that corner where you come down to go to Chilton. That corner is deadly because those reeds are up 6 feet high, you can't see around them. And I cut it, I had the neighbors ask me if I would cut it for them. The guy comes down with his tractor, he cuts it with a sickle and never gets around the poles, and the reeds are 6 feet high by those poles, and you can't see around them. Can we get those reeds cut? I know the railroad won't do anything about it, I've been after them for years.
And some of the examples in jurisdiction, because I was just down there looking at it. So we'll see what we can do.
It's bad. It's bad, and it's gonna be a problem.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's all I have. Hopefully something will get happen out of this. There's a lot of people that wanting to know the results, so thank you.
I have Frank.
Frank, only, I don't want to get rid of it, I just didn't.
Just turn it off, yeah.
Trustee Lancaster, you have a
I just have one quick question. Shannon, would it be possible for our staff to mail an objection form to him the wrong case he wants, just to make sure he has paperwork to know the process?
Yep, you can do that.
So that way they have them. I don't know if a couple of their neighbors want them, if they want a couple of copies and they have it. Basically, when you do the form, walk everybody basically present your evidence to the board of review then, and just basically the assessor has to prove value and you prove your value and then it gets determined. So, thanks.
And then I'll just make one comment, this is because. These assessments are required every 5 years. And the national average. National. For home values going up 50% nationwide. And it is a sticker shock from 2010 till now, how much your values have gone up. And it's not anything that anybody's. On the board or homeowners have done. We've had discussions about increasing the frequency of these assessments instead of 5 years to maybe shorten them up so that we are in compliance with state law that we are within plus or minus 10% of home values. But because of the fact of our situation with the economy, with COVID, with inflation, that the cost of building and the values of homes have gone up so much that it is a sticker shock. So we've had those discussions, and that'll be something that we as a board will be looking at so that we will narrow that frequency so it's a little more frequent, I guess. Okay, trustee Baldwin.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you for bringing your concern to us. I guess there's still an unanswered question in my mind though, and I don't know how we validate this, but just the whole, everything you mentioned about the square foot assessment. I don't know if that's, I understand what you're saying, but I don't know how, if that's true or false or how that plays into it, because I know that one of the things we concentrate on as a board is trying to, you know, improve the, you know, they have more businesses come into the village so that they can help subsidize the tax rate for residents. So I really would like to know if this is the case or how that whole formula works, just to provide some clarification for me. So after this gentleman, and for anyone else who has that question as to how businesses are assessed versus residents. So I don't know if I'm opening a can of worms there, but I think it's a valid question.
Excuse me. This email for that. That's what I got you.
Okay, thanks.
Before I return Frank's on that.
Don't get me wrong, I'm not accusing you guys or anybody here
No,
For
that's,
assessment.
I'm like, I mean, you know,
interfering. I'm not I'm making more accusing accurate because I don't think they're doing their job. to be
yep, not
honest with
taking
you.
it, not taking it that way at all.
Trusted you.
Yes, thank you, and basically I had the same thought or question in my mind that Julene did, and that is the real concern the new square foot value of your property? Or is it the difference between,
My real concern isn't so much my house value. Hey, I'm not ignorant. I know how much houses have gone up everywhere. My main concern is the property assessment and the disparity between commercial and residential. It's way out of line.
so
It's almost 2.5 times or better. You know, 3,000 or $2,048 for Waverly, and that's only on 300 feet. I know they have a piece 400 feet at 450, close to 450. But they're only getting supposedly assessed on 300, even though that email says we don't assess commercial by waterfront property by footage. It says right in there, you can read it. That's where my complaint is. Why are we basically subsidizing the commercial?
and I think Chad made a point on that, you know, there are reasons that,
Especially on fire lanes 2 through 7. We're private roads. We basically pay for everything that we get. So it isn't like you guys are plowing our roads or you're taking care of cutting the ditch. I do most of the cutting on 2 and 3, all the ditches. And nobody's doing that for us. Town isn't bending over backwards for us. We did have them put a culvert in a couple years ago, thank God, after 2 years of fighting for it. So that was wonderful and did a fantastic job. But the situation is, we don't ask a whole lot out of the village of Harrison. So I get paying more taxes, more property on the lake, I get that. But over twice as much, no, I'm not seeing that.
I'm assuming your per square foot
We're running foot,
frontage went
on the lake,
up. From
Oh, yeah.
what it was,
yes.
and I don't know if the commercial did or not, and I don't.
And I don't know.
I don't think,
Frankly, we don't get in the weeds with a lot of this stuff. That's why we contract with somebody, and that's the way state statute is set up, so that we're not in the middle of this, you know, stuff, but we can try to ask some questions.
that's in your professional, opinion, that's the value of that stuff. Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Else you're gonna have to.
Yes, I guess the big bottleneck here is communication. So if we're paying accurate appraisal, to be the appraiser for the village of Harrison, they need to increase their communication for our people in the village. This is unacceptable.
Well, I don't, I mean, I have an email here that states that they contacted this gentleman 7 or 8 times, they got a log of those dates. So I don't wanna get into the middle of this, I think that the board needs to take this into consideration when we, renew a contract or not renew a contract.
Well, maybe, I think. He brings up a couple good points, though, that maybe, you know, because it sounds like there's many people on those fire lanes that would have the same concern that gentleman has. So what if I want to get that answer from the accurate appraisal, that what is the disparity or the decision between commercial and residential? Once we find out the answer, I think we should put that on the Harrison Facebook page, so everyone knows, because there's a lot of unknowns right now, people are frustrated. So I guess communication is important here right now, that's all I ask.
Yeah, I appreciate that. They may have responded 6, 7 times, texted me. And it says, respond or call. So I call, nothing. I texted them 3 to 4 times, and I got that message 2.5 weeks after we sent the original, when we were in here for our review. Because we were in the open book, my wife and I were here, and the gal said, we will get back to you within a couple of days. 2.5 weeks is more than a couple of days, and they won't answer the phone. That's what really irritates me.
So we will be in touch with them.
Okay, next up. Anybody else would like to come up and ask some questions or? Sure. Closing.
Hey, guys, thanks a lot for holding this meeting. I think it's really a good idea to have this open forum. I'm Roger Wolfo, live on Stummel Road. And I just want to talk about Fire Lane 8, Lake Park Road access to the lake. Right down there at that access, there is a electrical pole with a couple signs on it. And at the top of that pole, there's a beacon, light beacon that has been used decades ago, years and years ago, for reference for people out on the lake. That has not been working now for a long, long time, for probably decades. And if you go down there and look at it, you can see it, it's shielded and the beacon is directed towards the water. You know, not that it reflects back at residents or whatever. My question is, would the Village of Harrison consider getting that operational again? Because I think it would help safety wise, more so in winter than in summer. Because there's a lot of activity out there on that lake. More so than just sturgeon spearing, there's a lot of vehicles out there, UTVs, snowmobiles, whatnot. During sturgeon season, opening weekend, believe it or not, there's a lot of people that stay out in their shacks overnight. And if there's bad weather, just something goofy, at least there's a reference, help them get back to shore. And it's just, to me, if it would, save a life or help somebody else out in trouble, I think it'd be worth it. If we could get that beacon operating, whether it would require a new pole, a new light beacon, whatever. I just think it'd be good if we could get that going again.
Okay, can you do me a favor and give your information to Shannon in case he has questions or?
Sure.
Would you be willing to share your phone number?
Sure can. Yes, and I got a picture here too, Chad, if you want to. Okay, you've seen it
I've
already.
seen it.
Okay, and
I
then,
know nothing about them, but I can be coming real soon.
Trustee Graham, you have a comment? Well, I'm all for it because I'm a sturgeon spearer too. Lower that lake
yeah,
and the northern areas. They can get all full area out there
yeah,
as far as getting in. And I believe we need it.
Yeah.
Of course,
it had been working, like I said, decades ago, a long time ago, and
I'm surprised no one's noticed it.
Well, do you know anything about it, Mark? Don't you guys go under that?
Yeah, we're off of Lord Cliff. That's the Lake Park, Lake Park Fishing Club there. Where we work in alliance with those guys all the time. Yeah, I did not know that the lake was not working.
yeah.
We can look into it and if we can try to, we'll get into the budget next year.
All right.
Trustee, do you have another comment?
I too am a fisherman and sturgeon speaker. And then I use Tawny Torque and I use Stockfish. I know there are beacons at both of those locations and from Rondell. Like, I don't know who owns and maintains those beacons, so I'm guessing that they're county.
I do believe Stockbridge and County Park is the county.
So
I'm just guessing at that.
does anybody know who installed that at Lake Park or
No.
who would take responsibility?
I'm also a member with Lake Park Sportsman's Club. John Breyer is our president, and I have talked to him about it. He was going to do some digging into it. And I haven't heard anything what he had found yet. But it's been there a long time, very long time. So as far as who installed it or who put it up, whatever, I don't know.
I think we're more than happy to look into it. Our parents just because they want to put work in and then some other governing entity says, why did you do that? You should have came to us first, it's,
Yeah.
we'll get that figured out.
Yeah, that's why I just thought I'd bring it up, because I didn't know where to tell her first, so I thought I'd ask you guys. So, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Another opportunity available for someone to come up?
Michael Gabler here. Property owner for 35 years in County Harrison in the village. First on Firelane 6 and now off State Park Road. I stopped in around 4 o'clock today. I was curious about a map with all the development off of N Lake Park Road. And I was looking to see with this development, was there planning for pathways, green space? And the nice woman at the desk said, well, that's decided by the planner and the developer, including the concept that the developer can pay off the village or somebody so that they don't have to put pathways in. And so that may or may not be true. You go to Sherwood and they've done a wonderful job with these new developments through the years, where you do have paths for walking, biking, kids, whatever. And so my comment is, and maybe question, if that's not being done, I think it's really short-sighted for our community here. And to allow the developers to dice up these properties, farmland, by the way, into lots with no consideration for that long term.
So we did make some changes here recently that requires all retention ponds as part of a new subdivision to have a path around any new retention pond as part of a new development. And also on any of our major arteries, wherever there is a development, the developer has to pay for a trail along the main artery. That's part of the development agreement. So that's something that I really believe in, that new development should pay for these amenities. And this all started when we connected the trail from Darboy Park to County N. And it cost the village $300,000 to put that in. And I said, why are we as taxpayers having to do that? That should be integrated into new development. So we made that change. So from here on out, new development has to provide monies, or they can put it in themselves, a trail on major arteries. And they will have to have a walking path for all new retention.
Sure. So it's all about tax base. I get that. And so you're talking about the main arteries, and that's fine. I mean, that's a minimum amount the developer should do. I'm talking about if you have, again, these 40-acre parcels, or how big they are, to have some foresight and put in some paths. I mean, Sherwood does it, but apparently Harrison's.
That's not been a plan before. Some of us got on board and we changed that. So whatever's happened in the past, I get it. But moving forward, I think
The last 4 or 5 subdivisions have incorporated them.
Around the main arteries or within the subdivision?
In subdivisions, they have sidewalks, they have pathways, and then they're connected as best as we can. The problem we have is that a lot of these subdivisions are happening off of Woodland and Manitowoc Road, which needs to be urbanized, which we realize that the cost of it is, $22 million for both of those roads. It's in our capital plan to do that, but we're trying to get money in place to do it. So we've got a lot of disconnection because we don't have the main pathways along those roads, but within each of the subdivisions, they have sidewalks on both sides of the road. Little board is talking about only maybe on one side in some of the subdivisions going forward, but there's trails and there's trails around, there's stormwater ponds that are being put in. So the last 4 or 5 subdivisions have incorporated it.
Okay.
I just want to add to that, just because we have been affected by the trails. So I'm Lindsay and I have lived off of Ethan Drive for 10 years now. we are butting up to many new neighborhoods, including one that has a storm water pond that was placed right behind our property without our knowledge. A path was put right behind, around that stormwater pond, which resulted in removing an entire tree line, which included trees that were on our property. Now, I understand through pursuing this with the village, that there was considered a right of way for electrical and stormwater. That was not affected by the path that needed to be apparently placed there. So the right of way was used to remove trees on our property in order to put a walking path, which meant that our property line, which had been up to a field with a tree line, immediately butted up to now a walking path, which means people would walk directly into our backyard. I mean, like, as far as the path actually goes over the property line into our property. So I think,
But didn't we work with you on putting? up
right,
something?
so the village did offer, and I'm not here to like bring up that whole issue, except that with the whole idea of putting paths, and especially in neighborhoods that are bumping into other neighborhoods, into other people's backyards, not everybody wants people walking in their backyard. And so I think there does need to be a caution of, we don't need a path everywhere. Every residential street does not need sidewalks that need to be maintained. Larger lots that are being pushed out in the rural areas do not necessarily need to be urbanized. Our neighborhood does not have sidewalks. Everyone I have talked to that lives in our neighborhood does not want sidewalks. We bump up to multiple new developments that have sidewalks. And so I understand that that is something that some people really want. I walk a lot. Lots of our neighbors walk. Lots of people don't even use the sidewalks. They're very dangerous in the winter. They are extremely slippery, much more dangerous than walking on residential streets. I understand the big thoroughfares, the Manitowoc Lake Park has that very nice multi-use trail. I think that was great. Those are areas that I think we should be focusing on. But putting sidewalks into every new development really takes away from that rural feel that Harrison has. And so while I appreciate the emphasis on making walking paths, making things safe, I also don't want to feel like I'm in downtown Appleton everywhere in Harrison. I also don't want everyone to have people walking through their backyards. I don't want every tree line to be removed in order to make paths, that sort of thing. So there's concern and balance, I think, as we look into making things walkable, but still have a community feel and not have people in other people's property.
And I'm not aware of your situation, I can probably tell you. Not always perfect, we don't always get it right. Could there have been a different way to lay that property out, probably. But we'll have to get better.
Right, and it's been dealt with, and I'm just saying that for the future, it would be nice not to have other people to go through that sort of thing.
And I acknowledge that there was some challenges because the subdivision that was designed was originally, you were originally. Invited to a preliminary plan meeting, and then there was like 2 or 3 years before the subdivision moved forward, and then we put this trail in, and there was no communication back, which we've since changed.
Right.
So now, going forward, we made some modifications, so we're engaging again with the neighbors so that they know what's going on. So lesson learned from that.
And I think there should be a broader discussion at some point with the board as far as, the requirement for sidewalks, 'cause I'm with you, I live where we have ditches and it's just fine. I mean, people walk up and down the street all the time. I don't think we need to have the system, we need to have sidewalks everywhere, right? So, I think we'll have that conversation probably when the zoning changes are gonna be happening in the future, we can talk.
Yes, there's a proposal coming to update the zoning regs.
And we gotta request seat. Trustee Lancaster's birthday.
For principal.
Thank you for this.
So, excuse me, I'm in total agreement with you, okay? Yours is an existing property. I'm talking about these large vacant tracts of land. That, I agree, why concrete sidewalks? But again, I'm referring to these properties that are brand new, and let's face it, the developers are calling shots.
Well, we do have requirements and it's in our ordinances that they do have to provide the trails. But if we want to have more than just the arteries, I guess we can talk about that, I guess. And that would be probably at the same time that we talk about the requirements for the sidelines.
Yes.
Does that? So. Yes, go ahead.
Well, I just had two follow-up questions, I guess. Chad, can you maybe get the gentleman's information and share with him the future trail map? Cause I think that will help to show what's mapped out, maybe happen in the future. And then I would say if you have a couple examples of brand new recent, like very recent subdivisions that are happened that you have concerns with, maybe.
It's more of a comment, I'll be dead for us.
Well, I didn't know if there's anything of a process that we can improve, we could get, that's why I guess I was, asking that way, but otherwise we are now requiring the main trails. And then we do have a future agenda coming up to talk about should subdivisions really have sidewalks on both sides of the road, only one side, cause I do think I think we're getting way too much concrete. Plus, we've been dealing with, individuals wanting to have trees in their front yards and the sidewalks. Make being able to do that because of the right of ways more challenging, so.
Pouring rain out there if you're.
So we are trying to look at what we can do with cities as well, to try to get back to a more rural feel for future development. I definitely agree with you that we need to try to get more to a rural feel and not be like a city, so.
Steve Baldwin.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank Lindsay for coming forward with that. I did see what happened as a result of the trail and it was not good. And I'm sorry that happened, but I appreciate you bringing that forward in such a constructive manner. And sir, I really appreciate, I guess I appreciate the point counterpoint kind of dialogue where, it's just the opposing viewpoints, but just, I just appreciate that both bringing your viewpoints forward. This is turning out a lot better than I had hoped it could be because it's just very constructive and civil and very, very productive for us. So thank you.
Okay, anybody else? Come on now.
All right, hi everyone, my name is Evan Janet, so. Thank you all so much for having this opportunity. I think it's great that the board and the citizens get to speak to one another. So back about June 30th, I reached out to Clerk Franklin, asking about the vacant seat on the village board. Thinking forward for the village of Harrison, I think it's really important that that seat is filled and there's more, that there's more representation for the village members, and to have a variety of different perspectives in that seat to help keep moving the village forward. When I spoke to Clerk Winkler, she instructed me that, and I'm not calling you out, sir, but President Hanschke, that you did not want to fill that seat prior to the election. That is what I was told. I do believe I have that in the voicemail where I could show that to you. But I just came here to ask why we're not wanting to fill that seat and have more citizens' voices heard.
So I will tell you, when I ran for this position, I had committed to recuse myself from the discussion of filling my current seat or that I vacated, that it was going to be left up to the board to basically decide on what they want to do. And at this point, the board has not done anything for that. So that's my commitment because it was my seat. I can tell you that in this situation that if we have a special election, it would be a monetary value of something like $15,000, and then if there's more than 3 people running, there would be a primary, which would be another 10,000. And then also the last time that we filled the position that was vacated because the person moved out, we had picked someone to fill that seat temporarily, and there was a lot of angst that we were the good old boys club, and I think there's a flavor or there's angst that if we pick someone that it's not a fair process. So with that being said, I get what you're saying. The papers would be taken out in December to fill that role. So for I don't know, for a couple of months to have a special election would be costly, and then secondly, I don't think, speaking for myself, I've recused myself from deciding on what to do, so I was gonna leave it up to the board to be able to decide, so that's not true what was said that I chose that I didn't want to, because I campaigned on it, I was very clear that any decision would come from the board as a, not from me saying here or other. I'm gonna leave now to. It's trustee Lucas.
Thank you. So appreciate you coming and asking the question tonight, just to share my opinion on it, if I was having to consider decision on filling the seat or not at this point, and I would not be in favor of filling the seat for two reasons. Basically, number one is the last time this board, and I was part of that process, that we actually appointed somebody, there was a lot of negative pushback, and when you're trying to just pick somebody, there's always certain people can feel like they're on the losing side, and it's really a lose-lose situation. And if we're just appointing someone, are we truly representing the village? And then because of the election cycles and the way the odd even years are, like if this was a different year, it could be completely different, but there's no state elections for anything that are taking place. So it's strictly 100% a special election. And so as the village president explained a little bit there too, you have to have a primary. Now you're doing a special election for the primary. And then you also would have another election. Trying to get true voter turnout to that election to truly represent the village as well is sometimes very difficult. And so truly represent the village, what I would definitely say is December 1st, you can start circulating papers, and if you're interested to run, that is fantastic. And because we need more people to step up and be willing to run and be a village trustee, so I would strongly encourage you to take your papers out starting December 1st and definitely run for the April election here, and there could be a February primary as well. And those are all normal elections that take place, so there's not extra cost to the village. But there's a lot of absentee. Part of the drive, some of that cost these days is there's a lot of absentee ballots, and someone can actually request to get an absentee ballot too for anything that happens in the year. So all that pulls each, all the mailing, all the staff time and stuff. So that's all that goes into that. But there'll be the normal election cycles and things that definitely take out papers and would encourage you to run.
Just with all transparency, I am a municipal clerk, so I absolutely understand that the election cycle and all that, and I just wanted to hear the answer from the board about that, so I totally understand the cost standpoint and whatnot. I just wanted to get something for an answer, because I didn't really believe the answer I was given, saw this opportunity, so that's why I came here.
Cool. So awesome.
Well, thank you, guys.
Thank you. Anybody else want to come up? It's downward.
It's very much as reading.
He's getting a little wet, probably too.
Hi, I'm Kate Laidlaw, and I live at N9692 Mary Drive. Kind of hate having to do this, but I've had to step out of my comfort shell last couple of years ago to talk about the construction and the building at the former Darver Club parking lot. And many of my neighbors and I had been coming to the planning meetings and many of the village meetings to discuss our concerns about access to the new gas station car wash to Mary Drive itself. And then nothing happened, a couple of years went by, nothing, quiet. And then I saw on the board meeting that there was gonna be an update on it, and that there was gonna be, construction was gonna start, and I spoke to, I believe, Chad. And he had said that the project was basically dead, and then they kind of pushed to have it revived. I don't know if it was from our end or from the Harrison end or from customer end or wherever it was, but once it started, I had a discussion with Chad, and he didn't really have a lot of information about what our neighborhood had talked about. What the concerns were, what we had discussed. We had proposed multiple options regarding access to Mary Drive and just kind of in the dark. I understand you're newer. So my concern is that suddenly all of the discussions and the kind of, and again, I get it. There were not 100% guaranteed promises made, but there was some really good discussions about options that our neighborhood could have put in place. Even to including discussions about possibly cul-de-sacing off the north end of Mary Drive. Giving them the car wash and gas station an extra opportunity, maybe to have wider driveways for their KK and N access. There was discussion regarding Calumet County, wishing that the corner where we are at, which is right across from Spira and our Mary Drive, what a cluster that often is, and how, there's just a lot of traffic buildup in there. The concern that we got when we got the letter and the map, it just said there's no immediate decision made for the road at this point. But it didn't discuss anything about whether or not that property will have access to those two driveways to Mary Drive. Every day we watch them, build. I have constant noise, dirt, dust, everything, because I live right there. I have people driving into our driveway, dozens of times a day because they come to try to get to Mr. Brew's parking lot. We talked, I know, the construction people and developers were here at some of the meetings. They seem to think that people, nobody's gonna drive around there, and we all said, no, people will drive around to avoid that traffic light. They will do whatever they can do to drive around that traffic light. And our bigger concern is that people are going to not try to use those entrances. They're gonna cut into our yard, into our Mary Drive, and they're gonna go all the way around the loop. And all that traffic is gonna come onto our road and use the south entrance to get out. Because nobody's gonna wanna sit there and wait for that traffic to be off of N. And so again, I'm concerned that all of the discussions, all of the talks, all of the planning meetings and everything that my neighborhood joined here is kind of gone because it was lost in translation to the new manager. So how do I know that it wasn't just forgotten by everybody else? So my concern is, again, I know they're putting a berm, but if they have access to Mary Drive at all, our neighborhood is now going to be the main thoroughfare. People are going to drive through there. Like I said, the other day, somebody pulled in my yard and wanted to know how old my dog was and wouldn't leave my yard. He would not leave, and he was going to Mr. Bruce. I've had people stop on the road, take pictures of my house. I've had a gentleman, I've had to call the police on him, where he was yelling obscenities at me, parked right in front of my house. I couldn't get out of my driveway. So, and this is before the building has even been developed there. There's a lot of things happening on that little corner. It's like suddenly, all of a sudden, people, since that sidewalk has been in, people now realize that loop goes through there. You should see the people that bike through, walk through, because they realize they can add a few extra feet on their traffic, on their walk or whatever. That I'm okay with walking, biking, but it's the constant traffic of people that are not neighbors. And there's a lot of people in my neighborhood. There's young kids, there's older people, there's a good variety. It's been a neighborhood that's been there, probably one of the oldest subdivisions in the area. When that subdivision was made, there was nothing but farms there. Believe me, my parents are one of the first houses there. So, and now we own a home right on the corner, but I guess that's where I'm sitting, and that's what I want to come to this meeting, just to make sure that it is a concern. And I realize that my neighbors aren't here tonight, but I stepped up again to come forward because obviously it's going to impact me the most. I'm right on the corner. But ultimately, if people start driving through this intersection or through our neighborhood, it is going to impact everybody on that road. We are used to being a very quiet, small neighborhood that the only people on that road were always just us. And now if we open it up to everyone, there's going to be a lot of extra traffic. There's danger. It's not a big road at all. It's very narrow. It's rounding around. You add snow. So that's really what I came to say. So I appreciate the opportunity.
So I'm gonna list this by saying that I took your message, I gave us Chad and Amy and I talked, and we know that Dartmouth call is doing that, and that's part of a TID. We can use TIDs to repave streets in the area. So we're gonna redo Mary Ave. Your whole street's gonna get repaved.
I don't want it repaved, if it's gonna entice more people to come to it, I'd rather have it stay.
But our discussion was that we were going to, before your road gets done, we're going to monitor the traffic that comes in and out of there. And at that time, when we do your street, we'll look at what we need to do to protect you guys and your street from traffic. So it's a process. I know it.
That doesn't answer, are they gonna be allowed to use those two driveways? And on one image, it looked like that was gonna be blocked off. If they could block off those two driveways, because technically, when we looked at, when we presented all of this, there were, you know, several hundred parking lots for when the Darwood Club was there, right? I mean, they have huge amount of people at one specific time. You have a gas station and a car wash and Mr. Bruce, you know, how many people are gonna have it at one specific time? And I understand there might be additional building in there, but how many, you know, you're not gonna have several hundred cars in there at 1 minute, you know, at one specific time. So do they really need the extra access? They of course want it because they know people are gonna cut through to avoid that traffic light.
I know that being a county highway, that
Isn't there a commercial lot on the back of that property?
There is one of those.
Yeah, that's
They can use this other one. I mean, I know that's what we talked about that other
there's a
time.
commercial lot on the back of that property.
The commercial lot, which way, what do you mean? At the corner of the property or behind?
it's behind, it's kind of in the back.
No, I know, on the entire property where Mr. Bruce is up from Mr. Bruce to the south of Mr. Bruce. Yes, there is. But we had said, and that in this meeting, he even said, if we put a cul-de-sac on the end, he said, I know my property will be affected more so than your property. But he even said, if you put a cul-de-sac on there, then we could maybe add an extra driveway on the county side or even widen it out so we could have two driveways going out and one driveway going
So
in.
I know that the county, I think they're gonna be reluctant to give another, the rules as far as gaining access to a property, so I don't. He knew what he was talking about, that the county would give him an extra.
I get that, but that was a discussion that was willing to be had, and that's why I'm bringing this back up, because it's like. We were talking about closing off our end, and then that we, the only people that are on that road are our people. And then it's not necessarily getting an extra access, but making his access wider, so he could have one driveway going, oh, right, not like the one driveway. But one lane to make a right turn, one lane to make a left turn, and one lane to come in.
And that's been discussed, and I think what. I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, is that kind of said. Let's get the building up, and then once we know what the traffic pattern and we know exactly how the layout and how that's gonna go, then we can, when it comes time to. Redo that whole street, then we'll take a look at that and we'll get comments, get everyone in the neighborhood to come in and provide the comments.
Because, I mean, we've been dealing with this since Mr. Brew has been up already, you know. Yeah, over 2 years, how many cars have we had? There's weekends that I put horses on the end of my driveway, and all that does is make it go down to the next guy down the road. You know, and then they turn around in his driveway. So I mean, it's just, it's a cluster, I know it, and everybody knows it, but like I said. I get it, there weren't promises made, but there were some very good discussions and some alternatives and some, you know. Things that we could do and work with without having Mary Drive being impacted, you know, with those two driveways.
Yeah, totally understand. I think the owner is very willing to work with us, so I think let's revisit that here probably they're done in November. So probably in the.
I think we need to get the station open and see what goes on from a traffic standpoint.
Well, are you gonna open those driveways up though, when they open the station, or leave those closed with the cinder blocks there and
The
let
plan
them?
is to keep them
Oh,
closed.
yeah, if it's directly into Mary, it's not gonna be open, that I know for a fact, they're not gonna be able to. Come from the south and then turn in, they're gonna have to either go all the way to the end. Where the double entrance is gonna be, I believe, so. I don't think they're gonna be able to come off from Marion and shoot in from further northwest or southwest.
I don't think I'm following you. So the two driveways that are on Mary Drive,
That connects that property won't be yours.
ever?
I don't know that for sure, but I got the impression that no, that's not gonna be an access point to get in and out.
Okay, so if that is the case, if Mary Drive is completely blocked off from that way, we could leave everything else fine, because the random people that are gonna come on, I mean, that's the thing, is that we've already asked Mr. Bruce too, like, could you go on your website and update your map? Cause it looks like there's a driveway there, that would help, I mean, and then they say, well, you know,
That's
home access,
I thought they had an access there. The old parking lot, they had an access there.
yeah, but so everybody comes in on Mary Drive and thinks that they can drive down to the back from Mary Drive. And right now there's cinder blocks there, and then there's cinder blocks to the one that's closest to the stop sign by Prospero, right out across from there.
You just have to double check. I don't have the plat in front of me, but we can follow up and.
If that is gonna be closed, if those are gonna be closed, that would be the best for everybody, I mean, because then really. There should be, I mean,
You're just
I guess you
worried
could get a
about something
Randall
you were-
that would come through.
From your message, I thought you were worried about people. As you come out of that gas station, you guys are coming down there and you had to head north, that turning left.
Oh, I'm sure it'd be no different than what it is today, you know, I mean, it's hit or miss time of day, how hard it is to get out. There are times that we just simply avoid it and go all the way around the other way. But you know, for the most part, yeah, you might have to wait there for a little while, but you can usually time it with the light. But,
Cause that's where I was like, oh my gosh, that is kinda, you know. You see-
it is tight.
Turning left, that.
It is tight, but, and because the people that come out from Prospera, they don't always look at us like we have a right of way, they just keep filing out. So there's sometimes that we have to sit there but then, and it could happen that people could turn right out of the gas station right in front of us while we're trying to make a left-hand turn. I get that, but if the two driveways on Mary Drive that previously were part of the Dartmouth Club access, if those are gonna maintain and be where the blocks are right now, if they are never gonna be able to be accessed to Mary Drive, we would all breathe a lot easier. So if you could let me know that, then I can let our neighborhood know that as well.
Chad, you talked to Chad already, right?
Yeah, but I don't think I have the phone number, so stop over.
Sure, great. All right, thank you.
Yep, and hold on, I got trustee Lancaster.
Thank you. I just had one question. Chad. Is there anything just signage wise, not that people always read signs, but at least that we're trying to put up no access to Mr. Bruce or something on Mary Drive as well? Or no through, and you know, local traffic only, that it's not meant to be,
We typically don't do those kinds of signs, I mean.
okay.
We're trying to, you know, we're trying to promote business as well,
Right.
so, I mean, that's not, I think it's better to try to work with them to update that map if that's the concern.
Well, it's like Google Maps or Apple Maps or something like that. It takes them right there, but if you're an owner of the business. And you put your map on there, you can go online too and edit it. I mean, I've gone in and tried to edit it too. But, and I apologize, Lancaster, you brought up a good memory for me to ask the other question. The other thing that we were talking a lot about before Mr. Bruce opened up was that lighting and everything should be downward lighting. Mr. Bruce has all of their lighting on the building coming straight out. Like they have those big bright lights and their signage coming straight out, that's on all night. I'm hoping that the gas station and car wash, everything else should be downward lighting. Think that is what the original plan was, that's so.
That is the plan, because I reviewed that firstly myself. So the village ordinance, so if we can look into Mr. Bruce lighting, because village ordinance requires it to be downward lighting.
Yeah.
Light pollution outside of their property, so.
Yeah, their lighting, their parking lot lights are downward light. It's the lights that are on the side of the building that are straight out. That are right into,
I would look into that too.
there's a lot of pollution, lighted pollution in that area from those lights, those big lights in there, so I appreciate that, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good discussion. Anybody else? Marcus said, I know you got some. Oh, I got.
Ross Laidlaw, the husband. And 9692 Mary Drive. Just a follow-up on the road, you mentioned that Mary Drive is slated to be redone. It is a residential road, correct? When you redo it, will it stay a residential road?
It will stay exactly,
Because the question that came up, Scott, was that that is not a commercial road and there shouldn't be any access from that property, the Darboy Club property, to Mary Drive. And I think she pretty much explained it, but we want that berm straight across, no access at all. I had mentioned this before, the Darboy Club had 441 parking spots. I have that committed to memory because I counted them twice. But that was a banquet, right? And they used to do big events at the Darboy Club, like the Spina Bifida thing, when they did that. Everybody was there, all the rooms were full, amusement devices did, they'd all leave at the same time. You needed 4 exits for that, for safety reasons, right? Now they're about a third of that between what they had on, what Bayland had on their layout some 2 years ago, and the Mr. Bruce thing. All their spots is about a third, between a third and a quarter of that number. So it's like 170 something. Don't have that committed to memory, but you don't need 4 exits for that property anymore, you know. Because there's not a banquet hall, there's not gonna be an event that fills up that whole place, everybody leaves at once. It's just gonna be sporadic in and out. And that's why we are asking the village to work with us and look at that and say, okay, this makes sense, it does make sense. We want our side separate from that commercial property. We are a nice little neighborhood, we are one of the oldest subdivisions in the village, but we are not one of the oldest, if you catch my drift. Everything's been updated, everyone keeps their house nice, and it's just a nice quiet place that we like to keep, so I need to ask you.
we'll keep your strip exactly the way it is, it'll just be a nice new surface on it, there's actually, we have an ordinance, there's no trucking allowed in residential streets. So that right there, you just have to put a swing. No trucking sign to make that valid on their street, and then someone can come down their property, or else they get fined.
I just want no access to the Darwood Club.
We'll double check and we'll make sure that access to Mary Drive is
And
actually.
again, we're speaking, for our neighbors as well, because
No, I drove your neighborhood, I get you, I mean, I get it.
Alright.
Well, thank you to double check that, and like I said, when it comes time to. Have that street redone, we'll revisit the traffic and the whole situation, if we need to make an update to the entrance to there, widen things out, make it safer, not just for you guys, but. People coming in and out on the highway there, that intersection is the busiest intersection in County. So we wanna make sure that we're safe, that everyone's happy, that things are done properly.
Getting back to the turning around in our driveway, which has been happening a little over 2 years. I know the gas station, once it's open, that'll probably alleviate a lot of that. If Scott and Kara would have put a sign out right where the entrance is, people miss that. It's easy to miss just because of where it is. So we're hoping that the gas station, if there's any bright spot to this, that'll help alleviate taking traffic off our road, but I mean, this is what we want, I mean, and it makes sense, I think, to take care of your village residents, so, and I thank you for listening.
Absolutely, so we're gonna do our best to make it right for everybody, so.
All right, thank you, Scott. Whatever.
Anybody else wanna come up? I know Chrissy, you're dying to come up here. No? Brian? No?
Can I add one thing yet?
Sure, come on up.
I would just like to ask the village where they stand on possible wind farms coming into the village of Harrison. And if anything is being done or what, because I do not want to see it at all.
So we've worked on this on quite a bit of we've spent we spent quite a bit of time on this last year. And what we have learned is that we as a village really do not have much authority as far as whether or not we can put one of these up. We have updated our ordinance to reflect state statute and county statute.
Okay.
And we were told legally that that's about as far as we can legally go with that. It's a check for wrong.
Yeah, so we rewrote our entire wind energy ordinance last year, and President Hanschke is right. So there's the Public Service Commission of Wisconsin regulates wind farms in Wisconsin, and we can't be more restrictive in our ordinances than the state. And I think it was under the last session that Governor Walker was the governor, they adopted a whole plethora of new regulations and basically kind of opened up the doors to allow some of this.
Okay.
So we did what we could do. And what I think the two big things that are in there are if somebody is going to come in and propose this, we would hire an outside consultant to evaluate the plans and the effects on neighboring properties and all of that kind of stuff, and the wind farm people would have to pay for that. And then we have a little bit of authority under zoning regulations, not that we can stop it, but we can require fall protection and all this other kind of stuff. So we updated our ordinance so that we're prepared for what we can, but our hands are kind of tied because we can't be more restrictive than the state. And the state is the one that's regulating.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, that's why I was just wondering, if you have any control whatsoever or anything.
Because I have comments on that.
Yeah, Mike.
In the Eagle's Nest. People document where eagles are nesting, where hawks are nesting. They have to be so many feet away.
Yes.
Because I belong to a group of Cameron County. And you wouldn't believe how many eagles are in Cameron County.
Yeah.
So much from an airport they have to be, and communication towers, 911 communication towers. That's a big no-no. So I'm trying, poking the bear in the county to get a 911 tower in the Darboy area. Because communication is just terrible.
Right.
For us in the fire department and EMS. So, I mean, if you want to have a good laugh, go on YouTube and watch the PSC board meetings.
Okay.
It's a joke. It's an absolute joke.
Yeah.
It just rubber stamp everything.
Yeah. We all know the health, effects of wind farms and everything, and it's obviously not good. And you say that with eagles, that it's as if they have to stay further away from eagles than what they do with human beings. That's correct.
The challenge I think is these wind farms sell people a good bag of goods, and if they're older, they want to get out of it, so they're turning over their land because it's a retirement kind of thing, and and unfortunately, they're gonna probably come, and unless something changes at the state statute level at Madison, our hands are tied. We've put as many protections in our ordinance as we can legally, working with our village attorney, but a lot of research with the legal Wisconsin municipalities, but it's still not, there's not a ton saying you can't do these things.
Yeah, okay, well, thanks a lot, I appreciate it, just.
And I hear these contracts are for 70 years.
Yes, yeah, right.
70 years.
Yeah.
I have rights to your energy.
Correct.
And people, you go to a lawyer and.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's worth by Philadelphia.
Yeah.
So.
Because after 25 years, when they fall apart and they're nothing but a rust and bolts, who's gonna take them down?
The person that's leasing the land out. Yeah, there's over $1 million here in the with me. That's ridiculous.
Well, anyway, just wanted to see where the village stands, and I appreciate it.
We'll do everything we can legally do to make sure that it's good to us.
Good, thank you.
Anybody got any general comments or questions?
No, thank you for doing that.
Yeah, I gotta say, this is fantastic, this is great, I'm hoping to do another one again, Chad's probably gonna be like. What do you want to do? I think twice a year, February timeframe, I think would be probably a good turn, maybe 6 months from now, so. Yeah, I'm excited, I'm just excited that, all this dialogue and. You be civil and we can talk about stuff and. Put Chad on the spot if we have to and. But anyway, there's still more minutes. I don't know, if nobody else wants to speak, I guess I'll. Oh. Yeah, someone here wants to talk, all right.
I just want to thank everybody for coming as well, and a couple of things, if you can talk to your neighbors and pass it along. The village has shared some of this on Facebook, but we have a new application out there now called See Click Fix. Really helps the village staff respond quickly and resolve things, and you can actually see the status of a request that you've made. So if you see street signs that are created, or any kind of things like that, definitely report that stuff, so they can get addressed. That all, that's helpful that way, so.
And in closing, I just wanna say if you can share with your neighbors, and you've probably seen a couple of Facebook posts over the last couple of days, but we've been dealing with a lot of issues at the Darboy community restrooms with feces being spread on the wall. Continuously over there, so he originally had said that we were going to lock the facility down. We're since changed our mind and we're gonna allow it to be open from 9 to 2. And there's a porta potty that's gonna be there, but so that at least families have the option of using the restroom, and it kind of narrows the time frame that if somebody's gonna come in and do vandalism, we can focus in on those timeframes for the videos. Otherwise, we're looking at 14 hours of video trying to figure out who's going in there. We have cameras there, but there's 30 people that go in there. How do we know unless they come out with feces on their hands, whether they're the ones that are the culprits or not? But we are really promoting see something, say something. So if you do see something that isn't right, please call Village Hall or call the Calumet County Sheriff's Department non-emergency line and let us know, because that will help us in trying to find out who's responsible for these actions.
Awesome, thank you, Chad. With that, I'm gonna need a motion to adjourn, plus somebody else got something else to say. Okay, we got a motion to adjourn, those in favor say aye.
Hi.
All right. All this meeting adjourned, thank you, everybody, it's not saying you. Yeah.
Did you want?
Yes.
I don't want Dan, I got your letter here if you want it back. I'm gonna say where.
Printed a couple of forms on, I knew I printed a couple of pieces, so I don't have a list. That's not good. And so I don't have to run that through it, so I'm having this thing. I'll fill, yep, staff, and then they'll get the assessor too, and then I go after the interim, so I will put it into the date, but that has to be in by August 11th, 48 hours prior to the point that she.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do know, I mean, there has been some complaint, right? But it's tough, yeah, to respond back, and that's why I've received a couple phone calls in Village Hall, as so I've been trying in contact to try to get a hold. Maybe, yeah. Yeah, I know, I emailed on Monday too. Potentially, yeah, because I know there's only so much. I think Steve said I contact him twice. Yeah. For sure. Yep, yeah. So like I said, I printed off you a couple just in case you want them, but obviously the form is online journal, and if your neighbors, I think the forms is. Yeah, there's a PDF out there, but I just.
Brian, mentioned one I wanted to do.
Yeah, and they'll link you, and then they'll double check your everything filled out properly, not that something's missing.
I might.
And just she'll obviously be. Yeah,
I'll have CPs different.
for sure.
I talked to.
It's like, some other very. And your health service or they got all of them, you know, the secret money. So I had a charge fortunately, which water for through the shed that's not through that's very piles of the dumpster next to 20 gallons. How would you start at farm lot? Sure, there's just actually here, so we're all seeing that. I'm excited, I'm glad I'm throwing as well as it did. Yes, absolutely. If you know anything, all right. Certainly. Thanks. Sound more times. That's something, you know, I've been looking. I, you know, break, I feel. But I think that's about it. So that's the one I was really. Oh, we can't really see. No, no, it's not killing me. See, nice. Well, asking for scenes, so I see you on the information today. You should have seen me. I'm such a fellow. Like I said, you know, good. Yes, learn real fast. And also, you can see a learn. So, okay. Go be with it. All right. Words. I'm just gonna get on everyone. It's never hard to be more pages. So I was going to the door. So very fine. We thought I'm solving. But it's very great, I think. Because if you think so, we lost to shoot deals. Right. 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 Either make it work. Actually, I mean, it's interesting people tell. So that's just. It's comments and it's no,
She's talking about Mr. I remember the first time I went down there and tried to do the access on the desk. So that really new too. I guess to go to get us in off the Cape Creek. But those people over all there. And so we're going to hear it tonight.
So he said your Megan should be here and we had planning commission last night, so I gotta have this tomorrow morning or if it's now.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing that I would say that next. So Germany for one meeting that you know a lot of things. But it's not marked on the shot. Because that's somebody here. It's okay. We'll bring it. I never. I told mine and I don't think so. I'm not blind. What's wrong? You guys are not right. It's been a long time. I got on students, people and lawyers hanging on. So it's you know that's full of stuff because I've been through this.
Well, I just know like. Times when they make the drill. I know you're talking about the post is there and the wire are hanging around the cloud is still there, but there's no metering. I mean, we're in the 70s exactly. I'll never forget that. Was a Christmas. I was on the lake and I was like, it's came up, give one great job. It's taking up on us, so I'm going to put myself in the clothes. That's the say it's honest. So yeah, nothing. It's like a battle. You know, actually, shit's over to the wire. Yeah. It's pretty making out the things. Food aggregation. Food. Right. I don't it's almost. Investigated. It's probably a bunch of racing. But it makes it like, you know, let's show this with parents. So look for this, they're really sure I'm like, oh, let's we actually we ordered like some of the virtual wrap their own thing, right? Okay, you have to get the meter, base number and stuff, and they'll if anything's done on the school, yeah. Well, imagine how the wiring every had past standard place. It's not you know what your drill line. Yeah, like that. Yeah.
That stuff, you know.
Yeah, I think our fourth and seventh call them in and said it was like, okay.
meeting get back. So.
Yeah, oh, I know.
That's why I brought up John's day back.
Yeah, I know.
Discuss that already.
Assessments are over. I need to, here's one thing about it.
So, look at
Perspective, something.
No, it's on an after. So, I mean, I know, between the village and fishing club or something and. When we did that with Sarah Spring planting, like Sanford was gonna be playing out. Fishing club was out. Oh, I wanted to mention it, thanks a lot. Oh, how is this sign needs to be up? Well, it's bumper access for the ferry burner too there. Correct, that's the biggie.
You know,
And so the other, we have place for the water on to tenders. Well, you need another access there too, because I've seen it already out there where you have points during the day. And you can't get off on certain landings. You gotta have that access. That's a long way. There's no gear, there's no gear like. I said the bottom, and you're all jumping there. This last year.
So, like, let's talk, I don't wanna go. Like something.
Well, I would.
Right, actually, we'll see shots. Sounds like. It's not somebody is out.
Right there. Yeah, this thing was. Yeah. That's really right away. That's where I was looking at. I want was different. Sometimes they know. It was my time, it's not very quick, or people, right? Like, it was very angry, right, and I just sounded, got some that quite a star.
But they come over, let's find that.
Go all the way, that
Fireworks, they're like, no, I think you're right or wrong, that was 300.
So.
You know, it's
I think the right play was
some of them probably $500.
When I was like Gabby and.
Is it's not important. Not everyone can afford to.
There's still a lot of activity going on down there.
I don't know, that's still the cost of it, just like. Thought after like almost 10 years that this is all down.
All right.
And actually, you know.
So when you're talking about some more meeting about increasing the freeway.
Yeah.
So much contamination. Sure.